Good day, everyone. Before I will start my presentation, I would like to introduce myself. The reason why I just want to make sure whoever is watching the video um, knows that the person who is doing the presentation probably knows what he is talking about. My name is Viktor Schaefer. I am the owner of VS Solution Corporation. I have a team of professional mortgage and insurance agents. We're licensed across Canada. My mortgage business I run under Verica One Link. And I'm in this business for over 17 years in Canada and previously was doing the same in Europe. In my province, I am number one of all mortgage brokers in my province for many, many years, probably over 8 years already. And in Canada, I'm in top 25 uh, from all mortgage brokers across Canada. Again, the only reason why I'm explaining this to you guys, just want to make sure that you feel comfortable that the person who is talking to you probably knows this stuff. Even though this is a brand new product, this home, the first time home buyer incentive, um, I still spent lots of time to check into it to figure out what the rules are, because since it got launched on September 2nd, we got so many emails and phone calls that I decided to record a video, which I will send to my clients, and you guys are more than welcome to share between your friends as well. Okay, what we're going to talk today about is how the first-time homebuyer incentive works. What is the process? How the application works? Who is going to do the application? Who is going to get the submission? And what kind of paperwork needs to be done? What are the rules to qualify? Because it's not for everyone. Not every person will qualify in Canada for this program. We will talk about the funding process, how the funds will get from the government to the lawyer, and then I guess to the seller of the property. And then by the end of the presentation, I just decided to do like question and answer session, but because you guys cannot ask me questions, I just used many questions that other people already asked me, and I will present you with the answers. And if you have any comments or questions, you can just comment underneath the video, and I will be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay, first thing which I think is very important to know, that there is a limit. It's not unlimited program. So the government actually, for this particular product, assigned only $1.25 billion, which means as soon as those funds will run out, the program stops. So it's very important, I guess, if you guys want to be on board, make sure that you apply on time to make sure that there will be enough funds for your particular case. The other thing what you also need to understand, that this is in this particular case, the government is more or less, I will try to use a really basic and easy language. I'm not going to use some specific terminology here, just want to make sure that it's easy to understand. The government is a part owner of the property. So if the government gives you 5%, that means they own more or less 5% of your property. It will be a second mortgage registered on your title behind the first mortgage. So in this case, the government is actually co-owner of the property. So you cannot sell the house without giving the funds back to the government with all their association additional maybe cost or even funds. The advantage of this particular program, I'm very active on social media and I read lots about this program, and lots of people say it doesn't make sense, there's no advantages. Honestly, I mean, not the greatest supporters of liberal, but I think this is something what they came up with which really will help. Will not help all Canadians, unfortunately, because there's limitations. Probably people who are going to buy a house in Vancouver or Toronto are not going to benefit from it, but it's still a good program, specifically for areas where the average purchase price is below $500,000. So if you get the funds from the government and the purchase price increases, you have to share the increase or the profit with the government as well. But if the purchase price decreases, in this case, the government is sharing the loss as well. I think it's a fair situation here. The other thing which I think is really, really neat with this particular product, that the funds that the government gives you, I mean, it's not a gift. I got a phone call from one client and he's asking me, I hear that the government is giving a gift of 5 or 10%. No, it's not a gift. You have to repay it. But during this time that you're using those funds, there is no interest rate. So that means you're really using the funds for free. It's lowering your, I will show you all the advantage of this particular product. But again, please understand, you have to repay it. But at the time that you're using the funds, there's no interest rate that you have to pay for. Now, what are the amount of the incentives? It's between 5 and 10%. If you're buying a house which is already used, like not a new one, you will get 5%. If you're buying a new house, which is constructed, or you're just the first person who moves in the house, you can get 10%. You can pick between 5 and 10%. If you're buying a used house, there's no options for you to get 10%. It has to be 5%. And if you're buying, like, let's say, like a mobile home, unfortunately, even if it's a new one, you still cannot have more than 5%. The reason why, because I mean, government is sharing the risk, and I guess they don't like to finance something which there's a higher risk. Um, that the price could drop. And I think the other reason why limiting it, the purchase price, I would say probably maximum would be $512,000, because there's some high risk areas in our country, which is Vancouver and Toronto. And if there's a correction, there will be a serious correction. And I guess the government doesn't want to be part of the loss that people will maybe have by selling the property in a downturn market situation. Uh, who is the first-time home buyer? Please understand, this is a first-time home buyer program, so it's not for everyone. You have to be a first-time home buyer. I mean, the first definition is definitely very easy. You never own the house, you're a first-time home buyer, so you qualify. It's not even a question, okay? But if you had a house and you sold the home and you didn't have a house for at least 4 years, you will be considered as a first-time home buyer as well, okay? And the third option is in case of a divorce. Unfortunately, it's happening way too often. We get pretty much on a daily basis phone calls with people getting divorced, and they're wondering what's happening now, what will happen with the mortgage. Yeah, in situation like this, if you get divorced, then again, you will be considered as a first-time home buyer, even if you maybe bought a house like a year ago. Okay. You have to have a status in Canada, so you cannot be just a visitor, okay? You have to have a social insurance number. It doesn't matter if you're on work permit, permanent resident, or Canadian citizen, you have to have a status in Canada to be able to qualify for this particular product. If, let's say, you get married and the person had a house before, but you never owned the house, so as long one person never owned the house, you will be considered a first-time home buyer and you would qualify for this particular product. The other very important feature in this particular product is there's limitation with income. The government wants to support, I don't want to say low income because this is not low, but middle class, okay? So if somebody makes lots of money, they will not qualify even if they're buying the first home. So the maximum income that you could have, and this is a family income, it's $120,000 a year. Okay, so if your income is above 120,000, you would not qualify for this product, even if this will be the first house. And the mortgage amount is also limited. Okay, so you cannot be above certain income, but also the mortgage amount is limited. It cannot be more than 4 times of your income. So let's say if somebody has $100,000 income, 100 times 4 is 400,000, and we're adding the incentive. Let's say the client has 5% down payment and he gets 5% from the government. So in this case, we will add the 5% to the 400,000, so the client would qualify for $420,000 purchase. If he buys for more than 420, the person will not qualify for this particular product. Here's an example. Income $100,000. Like you could see in this particular case, income is $100,000, down payment is $20,000. So if we multiply income by 4, it's 400 plus we're adding the 20,000, it's 420. So in this particular case, the maximum purchase price can be 420. But let's say in this particular case or scenario, the person has only $20,000. So to buy a house for 420, you have to have 5%. So in this particular product, you cannot have no down payment mortgages like we do a lot with 0 down payment, or like you have to have at least 5%. So if this person wants to buy for 420 and they have only 20,000 for the down payment, they are short. So they have two options. They have to buy for 400 to make sure that they have the 5% down payment, or they have to increase down payment to 5%, which will be in this case $21,000. Okay, so those rules are really written in stone. There is no negotiation. You have to comply with all the rules and regulations to be able to qualify for this particular product. Again, you have to have at least 5% from own resources. It cannot work with 4 or 3 or flex down payment. We call it flex down payment. It's an option where you can buy a house without down payment. You can definitely give us a call. I mean, the banks don't offer this mortgage anymore, but we still have many lenders who offer really good rates And specifically, I always like to present low penalty lenders, which means if you decide to break your mortgage for whatever reason, there will be a small penalty compared to the banks, where the penalty will be like 4 times more than some of the low penalty lenders. So the down payment cannot exceed 20%, because as soon as you have 20%, it's not high ratio mortgage anymore. So you don't need to have the government insurance. So the government doesn't want to support anyone who puts more than 20% down payment. So that means your down payment, whatever it will be, 5% or 10%, plus the government incentive cannot be above 20%. Okay, so let's say you have 10% and you want to buy a house and you're buying a brand new home and the government gives you additional 10, now you have 20, you do not qualify. So in this case, what you could do, you could just lower your down payment. Instead of 20%, 10%, you'll just put 9% or 9.9%. And in this case, you would qualify for 10% of the government incentive. Now, the first 5% must be your own money. It cannot be borrowed. Okay, and own means it's your savings. It could be RSP. It could be gift from your parents or immediate family members. So it is allowed to have a gifted down payment, but it's not allowed to have a borrowed down payment. So you cannot use your line of credit or credit card to use for the down payment. So it must be from your own resources. And the no down payment option that I mentioned before, which we do a lot, if you're interested, just give us a call and we will explain you how it works. So mortgage without down payment does not work in this particular case. You will not qualify because the first 5% must be from your own resources. Now, if I read again, I'm active on social media. I have my own group, which I run, a Facebook group. I do lots of presentations across Canada. This year will be Toronto, Kelowna, and Saskatoon. Last year I did Montreal, Ottawa, and Calgary and Edmonton. If I read online stuff about this new program, I read about, doesn't make sense. I would not do it. It doesn't, whatever. I'm telling you, maybe there are some cases where it doesn't make sense. But if you're the right person for it, and I would say whoever qualifies probably will be the right person for it, why would you say no? And I explain you the advantages of this particular program. The first advantage, and I think this is a really, really big one, you know that if you have less than 10% but 20% down payment, you have to insure your mortgage. You cannot say, I don't want it. So it has to be insured. And there is insurance premium to pay. If the insurance premium, even that the lender gives you the money to pay for it, it still comes from your own pocket. And the insurance premium is based on the down payment. So if your down payment is now more because of government incentive, you pay less to insurance premium. I want to give you an example. In this particular case, client is buying a house for $400,000. He has 5% for the down payment. In this case, if we would not use the first-time home buyer incentive, the client will pay $15,200 to the government, okay, or the government insurance, the mortgage default insurance. If he's using 5% of the government grants, so in this case, he's going to have 10% down payment, and his insurance premium drops to 3.1. So now he is not paying $15,200 anymore. Now he's paying $11,160. And if, let's say, he's buying a new home and he gets 10% incentive, in this case, his premium drops to 2.8. Now he's paying only $9,520. This is very, very important to understand that right in the beginning, you save the money, which nobody will take away from you in the future. Okay, this you don't need to repay. So you saved $5,680. And keep in mind that those are the funds which will not be put on top of your mortgage. That means there is no 25 years repayment. You actually save lots of money. So that those $5,680 that you saved right away in the beginning, probably by end of the term of 25 years, probably saves you close to $10,000 because there's no interest and compound interest and so on. So I think it's a huge advantage if you qualify. Why wouldn't you do it to save the government insurance premium? The other advantage is it helps you. I mean, the main reason why the government implemented this, I just want to help you with your monthly payment. But I really think that the saving on government insurance premium is more advantageous than this one. But however, it's still the case, right? So in this particular case, the person is buying a house for $500,000. $25,000 is down payments, 5%, $25,000. So the new mortgage amount is 475. The government gives in this particular case, 25,000 incentive. So the new mortgage amount is now 450. So your mortgage amount dropped by 25,000 compared to your original situation. If we're using an interest rate that's 3.5, again, I'm not sure when you're going to watch this particular video, because this video will be current for the next 3 years, because this program is for the next 3 years, which you also need to understand after 3 years over, or whenever they run out of money, 1.25 billion, it's over. So so whenever you watch the video, I'm not sure what the interest rate will be in the market, but let's say if it's 3.5%, in this case, your monthly savings about $150, which you could actually hopefully put to pay off your mortgage, or you know, do some kind of an investment and not just go more often to the restaurant, which is not really efficient. So in a year, it's $1,800. Why wouldn't you have it if you have an option? I think it makes sense. Plus, again, you save on government insurance premium. There is a rule again with a maximum purchase price, right? Maximum purchase price cannot exceed 4 times of your income, and plus the down payment. Okay, so this is a rule which you have to keep in mind, and there is actually a calculator available. If you don't like to do the math, you can just type in all the information and you will know right away it's available or not. Or the easiest way, just to call us and we will tell you right away if you qualify for this product or not. That's the easiest way. My phone number is at this presentation at the bottom everywhere, so you can see it, and by the end of the presentation there also will be my contact information. So there are some rules, and there are also rules with the mortgage amount, there are rules with the purchase price. So again, you have to keep in mind, not every person qualifies. I can tell you one thing, probably if you buy a house above $425,000, don't even call, don't even bother, you're not going to qualify for that. Okay, so because of the rules and regulations, you will just not qualify just because of the purchase price. That's the reason why in places like Vancouver and Toronto, the people will not be able to benefit from this particular product. I just want to give you an example of a maximum purchase price where the person qualifies and the person does not qualify. So in the first example, you see the person wants to buy a house for $385,000. His income is $100,000. So 4 times 100,000, it's 400 plus the down payment, 25,000. So it's 425. So the person qualifies for 425,000. He is buying a house for 385. So 385 is less than 425. This particular person qualifies. Here's another example. The person wants to buy a house for $500,000. Again, we're going to use 4 times his income. Let's say his annual family income is $115,000. So if we time it by 4 and add the down payment, in this particular case, the maximum purchase price can be only $485,000. He wants to buy for $500,000. He does not qualify. Okay, so please understand that if you're buying a house for more than $425,000, you guaranteed do not qualify. But if you're buying a house for $300,000, it's still a possibility you will not qualify because of your income. Okay, 4 times maximum of your income, annual income, plus the down payment portion. Now, what is the process? For you as a client, not much is changing. It's just additional work for the lenders, additional work for the lawyers, additional work for us. You just have to fill out additional form, which we will provide you, and we will make sure that all the paperwork will be done. But the lender will submit all the paperwork to the insurer, and the insurer will make a decision, yes or no, based on your situation. If it's yes, you will get unique incentive number, and then everything will go nice and smoothly. But my concern was that how long it's going to take, because we have some really, really hot markets in Canada where I cannot wait for 3 days for an answer. And because I do business across Canada, this is a problem. So no, according to the insurer, it should not take longer than 1 or 2 hours. So really it's not going to affect the approval process. Now, we cannot guarantee you that you will get approved. Again, with the time, we probably will have a good feeling. And I do high volume of mortgages, so very fast we will get good feeling if you qualify or not. But there still could be some reasons that the insurer will say no, because finally the decision is made by CMHC. They will administrate the process, and they will say yes or no. And there could be many different reasons. I don't want to go through all of them. I just listed them here. So if you want, you can just stop the video and just read them, but just give you a couple examples. If your down payment is not traditional, you will get an answer no. Okay, so if you borrow the money for the down payment, you will get an answer no. The other one, they will figure out that you will not own the property, maybe you want to rent it out, you will not qualify. Or the last one is the worst one. The program is discontinued because the government ran out of money. Okay, so just an examples of a declines, but it could be many other reasons. And definitely you still have to qualify with all the traditional stuff, whatever we had before, you know, with the stress test rules and everything else. You still have to qualify. This is just additional rules on top of the existing ones. It's not making your life easier. And just to be honest, if there will be many situations where you would qualify for more purchase price or higher purchase price if you don't use this rule. Okay, so just so you know, if you want to use this rule, there could be a situation where you have to lower your purchase price just to be able to qualify for this particular incentive. Now, like I mentioned before, nothing is free in this world, and you have to repay the money. And here's an example how you will repay the funds. In this particular case, the person bought a house and he got 10% from the government as an incentive. He bought a house for 400. Originally, he got from the government, from the incentives, for $40,000. So now, let's say 3 years later, it's a Vancouver or Toronto. And Vancouver is now going down. Toronto is still hot, but I think it's just a question of the time that Toronto also will go down. But let's say the price increased from 400 to 500,000. Now you're selling your home. You got 10% from the as incentive. So you have to repay now 10% of the new purchase price or selling price. Okay. So in this case, it's the new price of the property is 500. You got 10% many years ago, or whenever it will be. So you have to repay 50,000. So the government is participating actually in the win or gain in the property, but they're also participating in the loss. So if you bought a house for 400, you sold it for 300, 10% of 300 is 30,000. Now instead to repay 40,000, you repay only 30. And I think it's fair. To be honest, guys, I think it's fair, because why would the government participate only in win and not in the loss, or opposite, just participate in the loss, not in the win? I think it's a fair game. There's nothing wrong with this particular rule. Now, you have to repay the funds at the time of selling of your property. You cannot keep it, okay? You have to pay it back when you sell your house, okay? Or latest in 25 years. So if for whatever reason you did refinances during this time, the big question is you probably will have to repay the government grant during the time of refinance. This is an area right now which really is a gray area. I asked this question during the presentation of the government insurer, and they couldn't really give me an answer because they didn't know exactly how this is supposed to look like. But if after 25 years you still didn't repay it, you have to repay the full amount after 25 years. I asked the question, what will happen if the client doesn't have the funds? The answer was not really straight, but it looks like what will happen, that they will give you an option, maybe repay it in steps or on a monthly basis, but officially you have to repay the full amount within 25 years, and you cannot keep it after 25 years. Now, to repay it, you don't need to contact the lender. You don't need to contact the broker. You contact the administrator of those funds directly. So you contact, and here's the phone number. Actually, I'll put it in here on the screen. You see the phone number. So that's the phone number you call whenever you decide to repay the funds. Again, bank is not going to administrate this, and the insurer is not going to administrate this. Okay, so you contact this number, and the program administrator will tell you what to do and how to do it, and I will explain the rules and regulations during this time that you're selling the house. Keep in mind, whenever you decide to repay, if there will be additional costs like appraisal cost or legal fee or whatever, it's your responsibility. The government is not covering any of those additional costs related to this particular program. Now, this is a big one. If you buy a house and you decide to do a major improvement, and keep in mind, you have to repay, if you've got 10% of the current value whenever you sell the home. Now, if you do improvement, you increase the value right away. If you, let's say, add a garage or you finish the basement, in this particular case, you have to keep in mind that whenever you sell the home, the government will get 10% of the improvement as well. They have nothing to do with it, but you have to repay it. So maybe at the time, if you decide to do a major renovation, hopefully you'll be in a position to repay the government, because then you will repay it based on the market value before renovation and not after. I think it's a very important feature because, again, here's I used actually an example that the person bought a house for 375, 5% down payment, incentive was 18,750, fair market value at the time of before renovation, it's 400,000. Now he has to repay 20,000 to the government. If he decided to do renovation and he finished the renovation, now he is selling the home. Now the new purchase selling price is 450, and in this case 5% of 450 is 22,500. So you have to pay additional 2,500 for something which you shouldn't really pay for. So keep in mind, if you do renovation, if you can, again, if you can, maybe repay the government funds before you start to rip down your house or do something additional. Now, whenever you sell your home, the repayment amount is based on fair market value. And here is going to be, I guess, a little bit mess, because I think some people will try to somehow, you take advantage, or maybe somehow figure out a way maybe to sell it for less. Let's say if it's a family member, and you decide to sell it for less, there will be some rules and regulations that you will not be able to do that. And again, the fair market value, if you're selling the house, it will be based on selling price. If you sell it privately, for sure there will be appraisal required, because what if you sell it to your son and you sell it 100,000 for less price, and that's how you want to maybe bypass the situation that the government will pay and get a bigger portion? No, if the government will figure out, or the program administrator will figure out that the value of the home is higher, they will just force you to get an appraisal done. And even if you did an appraisal, maybe you know the appraisal very well, and maybe he did you a favor, if the product administrator will figure out that it doesn't make sense, they will hire another appraisal. In this case, they will pay for the second one, but the first one you still have to cover from your own resources. So please understand, again, it's a government, so comply to all the rules and regulations. I am all about that. I always say, pay the taxes, do your shares, whatever you have to do. You don't want to have trouble with government agencies. Now, if during the process something changed, let's say you wrote an offer today, and possession date is like whatever, in 7 months or in 4 months, and something changed, your income situation changed, the purchase price changed, the closing date, possession date changed, because there's a rule, right? Like you cannot use this program if your possession date is before November 1st, 2019. So if you bought a house and possession date is end of September, you do not qualify. If possession date is November 2nd, you qualify. If during the process the possession date changed from November 2nd, 2019 to, let's say, September 30th, you do not qualify. So, and you have to inform any changes with your income or purchase price or closing date. You have to inform and get reapproval. Now, this program, officially started on September 2nd. Okay, if you moved in before November 1st in the property, or possession date is before November 1st, you do not qualify. I had a phone call from one client, and he said that, I hear the government is giving us free money. Will I qualify? And I asked him, when is your possession date? He said, I'm already living in the house. Yeah, definitely, the person does not qualify. But after I told him that he has to repay it anyways, then he was relaxed, because in the beginning he was very disappointed. Yeah, so, and even if you wrote an offer, let's say months ago, but your possession is after November 1st, you actually do qualify for this particular product. Okay, so there's just one rule which is very important, that your possession date cannot be before November 1st. There are some responsibilities to the lender. Lender has to provide this attestation form, which again, we will do it for you. We will complete this form on your behalf. There's just some rules and regulations, and you promise that you're going to use this house for yourself, and there are just some rules that you have to comply with. There will be also lots of responsibilities on the lawyers. I think that this is going to affect the legal fee. I don't think that the lawyer is going to do it for free, because there's additional work. There's a second mortgage which needs to be registered, because the down payment that you get, additional down payment, it will be registered as a second mortgage. So the lawyer probably is charging you for that. And then the lawyer has to prove that the house is really owner occupied. And there was some stuff that the lawyer has to pay attention to. And they're not going to do it for free. And again, it's fair. You're getting advantages. why somebody else has to pay for it? So I'm pretty sure that the legal fee will increase if you use this particular service. Now, I already mentioned before that the maximum income cannot exceed $120,000. What is considered as income? So there are many, I would say everything is considered as income. Okay, full-time employment, part-time employment, casual, self-employment, child support, child tax benefits, like any income will be used as down payment. On one side, for someone who wants to get the highest purchase price as possible, that will be an advantage. But for someone who maybe is, a little bit on the high side of income, this could actually create trouble for him or for her or for the family that they do not qualify. Okay, so again, as income will be considered everything you get as a family. Now, this is just, I want to do like a question and answer again because I got so many questions asked, and I just thought some of them were really, or during our sessions, training sessions, I really liked them, and I just thought, why wouldn't I put them into here, because that will help you guys maybe to understand how this program works. We have 3 insurers in Canada: CMHC, Canada Guarantee, and Genworth. This is, everything is administered by CMHC, which is government insurer, but all the 2 other insurer also eligible to use this product. However, there are some products that, let's say, Genworth accepts will not be eligible for the product. For example, the self-employed stated income. So if you cannot prove income, there's a special product for those type of clients. You will not qualify. Or non-traditional down payment. If you don't have 5% minimum down payment, again, this program exists with the insurers, but it does not exist for this particular first-time home buyer incentive. Okay. If you decide to buy duplex or fourplex, you can, as long as you occupy one site. Keep in mind that this is for owner-occupied property. This is not for rental property. This is not for second home. This is not for the house that you're buying for your son, and you think you never bought a house. I'm buying a house for the son. Now it's a second home. It qualifies. No, the person has to be untitled. Okay, you cannot use the second home program, which actually I like. I really like this program, but you cannot use it for this particular product. Okay, and let's say if you're buying a fourplex, you have to occupy one of those units, and then the other 3 units, the income we have to add to your income. Now the rental income, which we will have because the other 3 units will be rented out, now will be considered as income, and this could actually create problem if your income is already high and we're adding now rental income. Now you suddenly don't qualify for this particular program. Keep in mind, maximum down payment cannot exceed 19.99%. Okay, so you cannot have 15% down payment and you buy a new home and get 10% to the government. Doesn't work. So your down payment must be the total down payment, government, like the incentive plus your money, cannot exceed 19.99%. And guys, here I want to say something which is very important to me because I'm very passionate about this product. If you have more than 20% down payment and you're watching this presentation, you're probably disappointed. You should not. Because if you have 20%, first of all, you save on government premium. You're not saving a little bit like the other people do. You just don't pay it. Number one. Number two, there's a product available, we call it all-in-one, where you can repay your mortgage with double speed or sometimes even 3 times faster without changing your lifestyle. I'm number one actually in Canada by selling this product. I will highly recommend to give me a call. So if you have 20% down payment, you will get an option which is a lot better than any other incentives. So give us a call and I'll explain you how it works. This is just a mortgage where you can pay off your mortgage again by using a different strategy. You can pay off your mortgage 2 times or 3 times faster than a traditional mortgage. I actually am planning to record a video about this as well, which will come out shortly and will be available on my website and on my Facebook page. Now, incentive is 5 or 10%. It's not 6%, it's not 7, it's not 9. 5 or 10. So if you're buying not a new home, it's 5, period. If you're buying a new home, then it could be 10, but you can still, for whatever reason, choose only 5. Okay, not 10. So again, there's nothing in between 5 or 10%. If you start the process, you get approved for the incentives, and for whatever reason something changes, I don't know, for whatever reason you decide not to proceed, you can cancel anytime until the deal is funded. I mean, if the deal is funded, there's nothing to change anymore. But you don't have to, if you got approval, you cannot just if you want to change it, we will just reapply and get you a new approval without the government incentive. This product is only for 3 years, like I mentioned. And the one question which I asked the insurer, I asked what will happen if, let's say, somebody bought a house, got the incentive, and for whatever reason, let's say you got divorced, sold a home, and those funds went back to the government. Will those funds will be available for the new clients again? Because it's only 1.25 billion. No, unfortunately, no, it will be gone, and there will be no advantages for anybody else. So keep in mind that there will be a certain bucket of money, and if it's empty, it's empty. And I also asked question if this will be 3-year 1.25 billion, or it will be annual limit, and as soon as it's run out, they will just say, okay, until January 1st, there's nothing available. They couldn't answer me the question, but it looks like there will be an annual bucket of money, which again, whenever it will be announced, I will definitely announce it on my Facebook page as well. I already mentioned this. Yeah, and the closing date must be November 1st or later. If you sell a property to family member, I told you, some people maybe will think they're smart and they will try to sell it for a lower price. No, if it's family member, there's a 100% guarantee that there will be an appraisal to make sure that they will figure out the real fair market value of the property. And I already mentioned this, you have to own or occupy the property. It cannot be rental. It must be your own property. Child support, child tax, considered as income. Now, this is also important. If you're buying, let's say, a brand new home, and you agreed with the builder that there will be 10% down payment, 5% your own, and 5% you were planning to use the incentive, you will not get the funds for the deposit. Okay, the funds will be advanced to the lawyer on a closing date, but you will not get it up front. So please understand, this is important. There will be no partial payout for you that you will use for the deposit. Okay, so you have to come up with your own 10%, and then when the lawyer gets the 5% from the government, then during the process of closing the date, he can repay your other 5%. But there's no some kind of a advanced that they will advance some funds for whatever reason because you need it for the deposit. You have to have your own funds. If it's a construction, it cannot be longer than 18 months. I know some areas that can take longer, so it just doesn't work. So it has to be 18 months maximum time from the time that you applied for the mortgage and the time that you have possession date. If it's a purchase of not a new home, but it's a used home, then the maximum time is 6 months. So you have to, from the time you applied for the mortgage and the time of possession, cannot be more than 6 months. And like I mentioned, the program is for 3 years, and the latest funding date, the latest possession date of the property cannot be by March 31st, 2024. But I can pretty much guarantee you it will be a lot earlier because the government will run out of money very quickly. But officially, the latest possession date of a property can be March 31st, 2024. I asked a question about porting a mortgage. Let's say you're buying a house and now you buy another house and you would like to port your mortgage and the incentive and everything to the new property, because officially if you're selling a house you have to repay it. But now you're buying another one and you would like to port it, or if there will be a refinance situation. So there is no straight answer at the moment. I think they should allow us to do it, but again, officially, according to the rules, whenever you sell your home, you have to repay. We will see what will happen, but they couldn't give us a straight answer. I guess this is just whenever it will be announced, and whenever we get the proper answer, I will mention this on my Facebook page as well. Again, you cannot, even if you repay the funds, you cannot pay a little bit. Let's say you got 10%, you cannot pay 5% today and 5% later. No, you have to repay the full amount. And you can repay it anytime. There's no penalty to repay the funds. Okay, you can repay it whenever you have funds available. You can repay them. You just contact the program administrator, discuss this with him, figure out the market value, and you can repay it. There's no rules that minimum a year or 2 years, whatever. There's no limitations, so you can do whatever. You can repay it whenever you prefer. Just it will be repaid based on the current market value. Again, about annual limit of the funds from 1.25 billion. Not sure if this will be the case or not, but right now it looks like there will be, but we didn't get an answer. And if you have any question about this program, you definitely can call us. I mean, my guys know everything about this. I mean, I have a really experienced broker, mortgage brokers working for me. And but you can also call this number and they will give you an answer. However, you know how it is. Sometimes you have to call maybe twice or three times to make sure that you got the answer. The two answers at least matches. So unfortunately, that's how it is sometimes. Yeah, I do it sometimes. I just call three times just to make sure that the answer is matching. Uh, I would be more than happy to see you guys connect with my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, um, if you want to contact us, you can contact us by phone, by email, or you can go to my website. Here's my contact information, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. I will do more of those video. Again, I will do one now about this special product where you can repay your mortgage 2 times, 3 times faster without changing your lifestyle. This is a revolution in the mortgage industry. I personally use this for 10 years, but now finally I can do it as a mortgage broker as well and offer this to my clients. Great product, but again, this will be a topic in different video. You're more than welcome to share this video, put comments, like it, and I guess until next time in the virtual world. Have a good one.